I've enjoyed and shared the memory of that experience 100 times. For just $2. Remember, it's not the amount that counts. It's the style. That same day, I guess I was feeling extra creative. When my lady and I got to Carmel, I drove straight to the flower shop. We walked inside, and I said to the florist, "I need a long stem red rose for my lady to carry while we go shopping around Carmel." She was some impressed. The florist said, "Well, we sell them by the dozen." I said, "I don't need a dozen. I just need one." He said, "That'll cost you a couple of dollars for just one." I said, "Wonderful. There's nothing worse than a cheap rose." I selected the rose, handed it to my lady, and said, "Here, carry this while we stroll around town." She was impressed. And the cost? $2. Just $2. A couple of hours later, we were having some refreshments, and my lady looked across the table and said, "Jim, I just thought of something." I said, "What's that?" She said, "I think I'm the only lady in Carmel today carrying a rose." I said, "That's probably true." For $2, can you imagine? $2. Remember, it's not the amount. Hey, just 2 ideas and a total cost of $4 for unique experiences and sweet memories. Just 2 modest examples of how easy it is to put style in your life. Make sure you don't miss out. Don't miss anything you can enjoy. Be sure you live your life in style. Traveling around the world, I have made some unique friends. I've also got some strange friends. One of them is a thief. He steals, but you'd love him. He's really a neat guy, but he really does steal. Now, he's not a big thief. He's just a little thief, but he is a thief. Once in a while, someone reminds me, "Your friend steals." I say, "I know. What can I do?" I talk to him about it. He's just my thieving friend. I do have one very special friend, though. If I was stuck in a Mexican jail and accused unduly, I would call this friend. Guess why I'd call this friend? He would come and get me. Now that is a friend. Someone who would come and get you. Guess how much you would spend to get me? Right, as much as it would take. Guess how long you would try to get me out? You're right, as long as it would take. That is a friend, someone who would come and get me. Now, I also have some casual friends who would probably say, "Call me when you get back." I guess we all have some of those friends. Make sure your friendships get the attention and the effort they deserve. Properly nourished, they will give back to you that priceless treasure of both pleasure and satisfaction called the good life. And remember, the good life is not an amount. The good life is an attitude, an act, an idea, a discovery, a search. The good life comes from lifestyle that is fully developed, regardless of your bank account, so that it provides you with a constant sense of joy in living and fuels the fires of commitment to all of the disciplines and fundamentals that make life worthwhile. What is wealth without character? Industry without art? Quantity without quality? Enterprise without satisfaction? Possessions without joy? Become a person of culture to add to the whole culture, for we are most certainly a product of all the values of our community and country. Become that person of unusual substance that brings an added measure of genius to the whole, so that our children and the children of many will be the beneficiaries of the treasure. You cannot escape the accumulated effect of the selection of your attitude. You can't escape it. So one of the major things to check is, how do I feel? And am I on track or off track with my attitude? Now, attitude's not that easy to fix. It's not that easy to get information. It's hard to look up attitude in the yellow pages. If you could put your car in the shop and go next door and get your attitude tuned, wouldn't that be nice, right? But where do you go? How do we engage in the kind of philosophical thinking that will refine our attitude to give us a chance for future fortune rather than what will be missing in the future? So this is big, attitude. Here's another attitude. No matter what they pay, I always come early and I always stay late to invest in my own future. We call that another attitude about the same job. Now, why would one person have one attitude, another person have another attitude? We call that mysteries of the mind. Everybody has to choose for themselves. Everybody has to decide by education. Now, if you didn't know what the consequences were going to be, it could be very easy to choose the wrong attitude and not discipline yourself to the right attitude. So a big portion of our life is affected by how we feel. Let me give you just a quick list about the feelings that affect our lives. Number one, it's how you feel about the past. Boy, it's easy to carry the past as a burden instead of as a school. It's easy to let the past overwhelm you instead of let the past instruct you. How to feel about the past hurts and the past losses and the past difficulties and the times you failed and the times it didn't work, the accumulation of all of that. How you feel about that is going to greatly affect your future in your life. One of the major things that affects your life is how you feel about the future. Our life is affected by two major things. One is price and the other is promise. And it's not that easy to pay the price if you can't see the promise. I think kids are having problems these days trying to pay the price because they can't see the promise. But all of us wouldn't mind paying the price if we could have a clear view of tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. If we had the high assurance with great probability of how it's going to work out, do you think we would hesitate to pay? The answer is no. But everybody hesitates to pay if the future isn't clear. So to help the kids these days, we got to do two things. Help them to see the promise and help them pay the price. But we can pay if we can see. My karate instructor said, Mr. Rohn, you cannot believe the incredible feeling of walking down any city street unafraid. I said, let's get on with the classes. Hey, I will sweat. I will put myself through the paces, right? What would we do for an extraordinary promise? Answer, the most unbelievable things. Would you crack the books? Would you burn the midnight oil? Would you engage in the extra thoughts and the extra disciplines if the promise was adequate? And the answer is, of course. But who wants to read? Who wants to burn the midnight oil? Who wants to put themselves through the paces if the promise isn't clear? Important. Price and promise.
Since ancient times, philosophers have seen it as the basis of all real achievement. This is the quality of courage. There's a book that tells the stories of all the winners of the Congressional Medal of Honor. It's a book that will bring tears to your eyes. It's one of the most powerful documents ever written. One American after another who put aside all thought of safety and faced down death in the service of this country. And more often than not, it's been in order to save other Americans rather than to defeat an enemy. When you read of their exploits, you realize that these were people who simply lost their fear of death in order to do what had to be done. Yes, those Medal of Honor winners were courageous individuals, but by itself, is overcoming the fear of death necessarily an expression of courage? I don't doubt that there are many people in this country who break the law and aren't afraid to die in the process, but I wouldn't call them courageous. And there are people who do deliberately foolhardy things with their cars that jeopardize their own lives and the lives of others, but they aren't courageous people. In fact, a hungry donkey will keep eating until his stomach bursts, even if you hit him with a stick trying to make him stop. He's overcome his fear all right, but he's obviously not courageous. We might not be able to precisely define it, but we intuitively sense that there are some differences between acts of rashness and the accomplishments of those winners of the Congressional Medal of Honor.